The neon sign of Jake's Roadhouse Bar flickered against the desert night in Arizona. The low growl of Harley engines outside faded as the Hells Wolves Motorcycle Club settled inside for their usual Friday gathering. The air was thick with cigarette smoke, the clinking of bottles, and laughter that came from men who had lived hard and ridden harder. Then the door creaked open. Every head turned. A teenage girl, maybe 17, no older, stepped inside. She looked completely out of place amid the leather, tattoos, and heavy boots. Her dusty jeans were cuffed at the ankles, her black boots scuffed, and a faded denim vest clung to her shoulders. She carried no fear in her eyes, though they were tired, eyes that had seen too much for her age. "Now what's this?" One biker snickered, setting his beer down. "Lost your way to the high school dance, sweetheart?" Another biker leaned forward, a grin spreading beneath his gray beard. "This ain't no ice cream shop, girl. You sure you know where you are?" The girl didn't blink. Her voice came steady, quiet but firm enough to cut through the noise. "I'm looking for someone named Reaper." The laughter died instantly. The name dropped into the room like a hammer. For a long second, the only sound was the faint hum of the jukebox playing Leonard Skynyrd in the background. Reaper. It was a name that carried weight, the kind men didn't say lightly. He was the club's old president, a man of legend and fury, gone missing years ago after a violent run in Texas. Some said he died. Others whispered he went underground. No one ever knew for sure. The bartender, a heavy-set man named Bobby, narrowed his eyes. "And what business does a kid like you got with Reaper?" The girl reached up, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "He was my father." A few bikers exchanged looks. One laughed nervously, but it didn't last long. Something in her voice, in the way she stood there unshaken, made them believe she wasn't bluffing. "Prove it," someone muttered from the back. The girl turned around slowly. With both hands, she lifted her jacket, revealing the patch on her back, a snarling black wolf with piercing silver eyes. Beneath it, in bold stitched letters, read, "Hells Wolves Bloodline." The room froze. That patch was sacred. No one outside the Brotherhood had ever worn it, except one man, Reaper, who had it custom-made before he vanished. And now it was on the back of a teenage girl. She looked around, her voice steady. "He told me if anything happened to him, I'd find the wolves here. He said you'd know what to do." No one spoke. The laughter, the jokes, the beer, all forgotten. For the first time in years, the Hells Wolves found themselves staring at a piece of their past, standing right in front of them. For a long moment, the room stood frozen, a silence so deep it felt almost sacred. The only sound came from the hum of a neon sign flickering behind the bar. Every man in that place, hardened by years on the road, stared at the teenage girl like they'd just seen a ghost. Tank, one of the senior bikers with gray streaks in his beard, was the first to move. He stepped forward, boots thudding against the wooden floor. "You're telling us Reaper was your old man?" She nodded once, clutching the edge of her vest. "He told me if he didn't make it back, I should find his brothers. Said the wolves look after their own." The girl's words hung heavy in the air. Mac, the club's vice president, rose from his seat at the far end of the bar. A mountain of a man with tattoos crawling up his neck and arms, he looked at her with disbelief and something close to pain. "Kid, your father. He was the best man I ever rode with, but we all thought he was gone. Lost in that Texas ambush." Her eyes softened, but her jaw stayed firm. "He didn't make it out. I found his bike near a canyon, burned out. There was a bag tied to the handlebars, with his vest, his knife, and a letter for you." She pulled an envelope from inside her denim jacket. It was weathered and creased, the paper yellowing at the edges. She handed it to Mac, who stared at it for a long time before tearing it open. The entire club leaned closer as he unfolded the note. The words were short, written in Reaper's rough handwriting. "If you're reading this, I didn't make it home. Watch over my girl. She's tougher than she looks, and she's got the heart of a wolf." Mac's throat tightened. He took a slow breath, then looked up. "Brothers, looks like we got family in the house." For a moment, no one spoke. Then Tank stepped forward again, placing a heavy hand on the girl's shoulder. "Welcome home, kid." The other bikers began to rise, some nodding in respect, others giving her a pat on the back. What started as disbelief turned into something else: pride, loyalty, and the kind of brotherhood only the road could build. Bobby, the bartender, slid a root beer across the counter. "On the house," he said with a faint smile. "Reaper always said his girl would be one of a kind." The girl sat down, her small hands wrapped around the bottle, eyes glistening but strong. For the first time in years, the Hell's Wolves felt something they hadn't felt since Reaper disappeared: unity. As the night stretched on, engines began to rumble outside. The wolves were ready to ride again, and this time, a 17-year-old girl rode with them, her father's patch gleaming under the moonlight. The laughter that once mocked her was gone. In its place was respect, and the unspoken truth that Reaper's legacy lived on.